Good afternoon. Okay, why don't we rise and start with the pledge and the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. God, thank you so much for this opportunity to meet. Please give us wisdom. Help us to make wise choices. In your name. Amen.
Amen. With that, I call the September, I guess it is, meeting of the Kosciuszko County Parks and Recreation Board to order. Our first meeting is, we had two sets of minutes from April 17th and April 28th.
I'm sorry, August?
August, yes. I think somebody had responded in an email to me that they're calendar challenged today. I too am calendar challenged today. Any discussions, comments on those two sets of minutes? I know Mike is passing around one that's been signed, but there are two sets. Oh,
Yeah,
there's the
I
other
am.
one.
The second one I didn't realize it.
I'll have the copies for you to sign. Those are your copies to keep.
We've got one we're signing as we go along, so you'll,
But we promised to not give it to you until we've actually approved it.
I think you'll find most of us just like our email copies.
I'd make a motion that we approve both sets of minutes, if that's allowed.
Sure. Any further discussion?
I'll second it.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Okay. So we need to reset the dates for the RFPs. Obviously, they didn't go out largely due to vacations and all kinds of other stuff, but I think all the parties involved now have communicated. We think we're all on the same page. We just need to reset those dates to dates that make sense. I did send out to a number of the people proposed schedules. However, in talking to our one proposed vendor who is here today, he had said they really would like to have 30 days for when the bid is published to when they need to get the submission back to us. And the proposal I sent out today does not have that included. That's one I tightened up a lot. And I don't think it behooves us to ignore requests like that. So I think the ones that I sent back, we need to look at changing already today. He had said 30 to 60. I don't want to go past 30. I think we're all sort of on board with that. So the dates that we had issued, we want to get it published next week. Based upon when that can go in the paper, we expect it won't probably be Monday, which is the date I had put in, but certainly I think it can go in next week. I've also talked to Marcia about, I think we're going to try to get that posted on the Kosciuszko County website in addition to the mandatory advertising. That means the submission deadline and time, which was October 19th, 2023, would have to be pushed. That's only 9 days.
Pretty quick.
Yeah, so that's pretty quick. So, the question is, ladies and gentlemen, how far do we want to push? If we're getting it published at that point in time, essentially on October 1st,
Well, it looks like, with that timing of 30 days-ish, we'd probably use our scheduled meeting on, I think it's November, is it 16th or 18th?
16.
16th, as the day that we would have those bids due and we would open them. Was that,
I think if we were to do that, we could just push the finalization back to December then. And we can still make everything, I would think, happen.
so the submission deadline would be the November 16th.
Yes, so that would give in excess of 30 days for the vendors to review. We would open them, obviously, the 16th then at our meeting. We would then have sufficient, more time really to interview them, and selection of the contractor would then be December, is it 21st?
So, and I would just throw out, I think I'm available the 21st, but that's so late in December. Would we actually want to potentially pull that meeting up? And then, just because it's so close to the holidays, and have our December meeting just earlier, where we could complete that work and better chance of availability.
So what day of the week is that? Boy, Mike, looking at this, so although that's the week before Christmas, Christmas is actually Monday. There's a great chance that people are going to start disappearing, I think, by the 21st for the break.
So that's what Mike's suggesting though, right? Is,
Yeah.
Move up a week or even
Yes.
2 weeks.
So could we move up? Do we know if the room's available to the 14th? Would that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Fine on mine.
Looks good for me right now.
It works for me.
Yeah, most likely.
Yeah. And we also want to get, once we decide who it is, we want to get the contract and everything signed. And if we waited until the 21st, it might be hard to get all of that done before
Right.
the year's over.
What is the constraint on those funds? Wasn't it November of 24 or something like that when we need to be, those funds need to be spent?
It was a
or
year.
It's not necessarily spent, it's allocated.
allocated? Okay.
So I think we're going to be okay. The bigger thing is not, the bigger thing is getting Chinworth going in a timely fashion.
Right.
To be able to use construction 24.
And really going in '23. Plan it, really want to start building next year.
Yeah,
Although this
which is
23, isn't it?
24.
Yeah.
I'm the one that
I
said-
told you I'm calendar
no,
challenged.
I said it wrong first round. I screwed you up on that.
Yes, we want to build next year.
Okay.
Okay. so-
Now, just this timing, does this now become, we're putting both RFPs on the same schedule?
I think we're putting both on the same schedule. Is that okay with everybody?
Yep.
Okay, so let me go back to this. So date issued remains largely the same. I've got September 25th. We know that's probably not going to be the exact date. It's going to be whenever it can get over to the newspaper and get published. The pre-bid meeting, we're still looking at October 10th at that point in time. Is that going to be acceptable? If that's pretty short, but will give you guys time to look and come up with questions? That's not an official meeting, so that's not difficult to move. Okay. And then November 16th would be formal submission deadlines.
So that's 30 days even after that meeting,
Right.
plus, so.
Yeah.
What was that date again, Rob?
23rd is when you are accepting them, and then the 16th you're accepting, the 19th, you're determining top three or who you want to interview,
So,
October 19th.
No,
no, we're moving all that. So the submission deadline would be November 16th. We'll open them on November 16th. Between November 16th and our meeting in December, we don't, under this timeframe, we don't have a meeting to select the finalists, do we?
So you're advertising on the 25th.
September.
Correct. Yep,
You're accepting RFPs October 16th,
November 16th.
that's 60 days.
Well, we're
No.
just trying to,
It's closer to 6 weeks, but the 9/25 RFP issue date is a little bit soft. It might actually take a few more days to get that issued.
Yeah, here's what we can do. We could move that submission deadline up, and then at our November 16th meeting, we'll all have had a chance to review those. Marshall, we can open those. You can distribute those, can't you? They have to be open at a meeting.
And that's where I was going with opening them on the 19th. Then you start the interview process, so that by the 16th, you're awarding.
But if we,
You're awarding.
I want to make sure I got this straight. So as long as we get them out next week, asking for the submissions on October 19th is still timely for you?
Or 19th, that's fine, 19th.
Okay. Okay, submission deadline time, what was our?
so that's less than 30 days then.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Rob, we're back to the preliminary timeline
Yeah, I
You
believe
had
so.
distributed to some of us this morning.
Yeah, I believe so. October 19th then would be the submission deadline. Um, I think then, well, what are you guys thinking? I don't want to,
Well, I mean, if
Control
that, I was only proposing we change it because based on the feedback of wanting 30 days, but
Right.
if this timeline works, I'd still try to, that you proposed, I'd still try to keep it.
so
Then when would we open them for review?
we would open them then at our meeting on October 19th.
Okay.
Then their special meeting to interview would be the second. So it's the same as what Rob sent earlier as a proposal.
Yeah. So I think Marcia did,
Well, I'm sorry, I was talking to Marcia. If we want something published in the Mail Journal, it needs to be advertised in 2 places. That advertisement should have gone out today for it to be published by September 27th.
okay,
It could be in the Times Union, but not in the Mail Journal.
okay,
So that's why I would say try to shoot for getting things advertised in both papers by September 27th.
okay.
I can probably get things sent to the Mail Journal by today, and it should probably still go in Wednesday's paper, September 27th.
So the other thing I talked to Marcia about was getting them
I
to,
don't know if it's ready to go there. Right. Right.
I think still by the time that you guys get us the information, Marcia does it with the review with the attorney, and then we get it on, get it in the newspaper and things. I'm still thinking you probably need to push the dates back as we're starting.
okay,
And maybe just keep those scheduled at your regular meetings. I mean, I understand that you want to take into consideration the holiday coming up. So, I mean, changing your December meeting, fine, or waiting until your January meeting to make everything fine.
Correct.
Because at this point, it doesn't matter if you do it in December or if you do it in January.
well, it made for the vendors though. And that's what Commissioner Groniger was wanting us to try to get it done this year.
Yeah, and yes, I do remember him saying that, if you get them while they were kind of in downtime.
Right. So if we have to push, because that's when the notice is, then we have to push. I think we all understand that. So I appreciate you guys jumping in. We've never done this before.
I was looking at the deadlines as far as, because it would be great if we could get them out September 27th for things
Okay.
to be advertised. But we also want to make sure that we're having, yes, like even October 4th, I feel like if that's the actual advertisement date, that would give Ed more time to be able to look over everything before they go out. To be
Okay.
published in the newspaper. So, I mean, that's just the advertisement date. I mean, that we would actually advertise them. We usually do them both on the same day, Times and Mail.
Yeah.
So that we can check them both days and approve them.
So quite honestly, I think that if we push that, we probably need to push back the pre-bid meeting. I would suggest we think about using our October meeting as the pre-bid meeting,
Okay?
if we're going to do that. Which would be the 19th. And then if we want to give them 30 days, we're talking submission deadline of November 16th, I think, which is our meeting for November.
I'm actually I'll be around on the 21st. I mean, if I don't know, are we proposing to move that because we won't be available, or we're thinking?
We're
that-
thinking it's so close to the holidays, you might start losing, although if they want the business, right, they're going to have somebody available.
But because we also want to get to where we have a signed agreement,
Right.
it's just getting into people taking holidays off.
Okay.
And I think that's what I was thinking when I proposed. Let's just do we need to pull things forward to make sure that
Then,
Well, that might give the wiggle room, I think, that Aggie's referring
Yeah.
to make sure we get signatures and stuff this calendar year.
Okay, another possibility, and I know we're trying not to have too many special meetings. If we had a special meeting around November 2nd, and I'm saying that date just because it's a Thursday, that would still be a full 4 weeks, even if it's October 4th before the RFP is issued. And then we could use November 16th to select our finalists. And that's.
Yeah, and then we'd still be awarding in December at least.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then we'll need to find a time to do the interviews.
I think we really need to try to award in December.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, the interviews are one-on-one.
Yes.
And it's not, we determined previously, the interviews are not
Public.
a public
Okay.
meeting.
Right.
They're just information gathering.
Yeah.
Selection of the contractor will definitely be in a public meeting.
Okay.
Right.
Does
So,
that sound good to all of you?
So if you just want to kind of review with everything, let us know what we're looking at.
So here's what we're looking at right now. A date issue of October 4.
or earlier,
Well, yeah. Pre-bid meeting of October 19th, that's our regularly scheduled meeting. A submission deadline, then potentially of a special meeting and a special date early in November that we all have to agree upon. And then selection of the finalists to be interviewed at our standard November 16th meeting. We would then interview finalists between that meeting and the December regular meeting, and we'd award at the December meeting. So we would only need to do one special meeting if we pulled that off.
Which would potentially be looking at November 2nd.
Yes,
That Aggie mentioned.
yep, if that works for everybody, let me look at my calendar.
And then Rob, would you maybe looking at, maybe if you've not gotten that far, but November 2nd, would you be looking at 1 o'clock normal time?
It
Or
would
would
have
you?
to be between the hours of 9 and noon. This is on time, right?
Well, board, November 2nd, what time, can we do it in the morning?
I'm open.
Yep.
Yeah.
9 a.m.?
9?
Okay, so. Submission deadline then is November the 2nd at,
What are we doing on that day?
what's that?
What are we doing on the 2nd?
That would be opening of the
open
bids.
bids.
The opening of the bids was the 16th.
I'm sorry?
Right, I've got November 16th as we're going to open the bids.
No,
He's going to, okay.
So submission deadline would now be November 2nd.
But is that necessarily a meeting? I mean, that's just the time, that's just what you're saying that you
But,
want them.
but if we have to open the bids in a meeting, we need to have a meeting then right away so that we can start reviewing them, so we can vote on them. That's correct, Marcia? I didn't hear all that, I'm sorry. Right. Yeah,
The bids would have to be in by 8 a.m. then, or the day before. Yeah.
but since that is a Tuesday morning, let's do Monday afternoon at like 4 PM. Or would 3:30 work, something so you guys don't have to worry about somebody running in.
I guess my question is, you have the submission deadline in time.
Yep.
That's just to the vendors to say what time they have to.
Right.
have their stuff. That doesn't mean you have to have a meeting.
Correct.
Because
But,
they're gonna send it
but,
to
we-
Marcia or our office. We're gonna have it, we're gonna hold it, and then you guys can look at it on the 16th.
but if the first time we see it is on the 16th, we won't be ready to do anything with it. If that's the date we open them.
So we need to open soon after they're submitted, so then because the 16th will be
Right,
the discussion meeting, right?
right.
So then it sounds like if November 2nd at 9 AM works for us to meet, the deadline probably needs to be the previous day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
3:30.
November 1st at,
whatever time,
3:30.
5 PM even.
Well, no, they don't open.
Well, the county closes at 4:30. I know if I were doing this, I wouldn't want somebody coming in at 4:30, so I would think we'd say 3:30.
Okay,
good.
I have no idea on
Remember
that,
that?
before the county office closes.
I believe usually how other departments have done it, usually the bids are requested like by the morning, that it's by like, 8:30, 9 o'clock or something. But I see what you're needing, so yeah.
We could do that too, I didn't,
Close at 4:30, so if you want to say, 3:30.
Whatever works for you guys, you tell me.
we can run it up, we can run it up to the start of the meeting if that works for you.
Just we date stamp them, maybe put the time down.
Yeah, that's why we don't want it at the start of the meeting, because they have some work to do internally.
Got it.
Right. So would noon be better? How about noon the day before? Okay. Right.
Okay.
Then we will have the meeting the next day at 9 AM, the 2nd at 9. That's where we'll actually open the bids and distribute them for us to be able to review. And then November 16th will be our, sort of formal review and selection of the finalists that we wish to interview. And then our next meeting, currently December 21st, would be the actual selection of the contractor.
And in between, we want to interview.
Right.
So we need, if we select that date now, and it can be in the information, it's easier for potential contractors and us. We don't have to select it again. And interviews are not a public meeting.
Correct.
I was thinking maybe sometime the week of November 27th to December 1st. Would that week work?
Is that after Thanksgiving?
Yeah, the week after Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving's 23rd.
And that day, we would not need this room. We could have even one of the rooms in the basement across the street. So that, we should be able to find a room at that point in time. I could even use our conference room. So what date were you thinking of, the first week in December?
Well, I was looking at the week of November 27th to December 1st.
Okay.
And, possibility being Thursday, November 30th, just because it's Thursday, but it doesn't have to be then.
I can certainly do the 30th, if everybody agrees.
Yep.
Okay.
What time?
Well, it's gonna be variable, isn't it?
Yeah, we have to have a window.
Well, I would suggest that what we probably ought to do is just from a planning purpose, they're probably going to take half hour to an hour each. Right? So.
And we'll have it narrowed down to 3, right, or 4, 2?
3, but we have 2 RFPs. So I think that's 6 potentially.
That's 6 potentially. Now, if one vendor is doing both, I certainly would feel comfortable potentially putting those together. They only need to introduce their staff once to us, for example,
Yeah.
if they bring their staff.
Yeah.
Our questions are going to be very similar, I would think. So interviews, then we're looking at, again, what date did we say?
30th.
Starting at 9 a.m.
I'd probably ask that we just all block our calendars for that day, or at least that morning, but as we
Right.
get closer, we'll just have to see availability.
And let's face it, it may very well be that a vendor is not available on that date,
Yeah.
and we have to do something else.
Right. Good
Yeah.
call out.
But doing it that week allows us the following week if we needed to do that with anyone.
Yeah.
And then move our December meeting up to December 14th? And that's our decision?
I am certainly willing to do that if everybody else wants to do that.
Seems reasonable.
It's fine with me.
Okay, so the December 21st meeting is off, and it will now be December 14th.
Is shifting our normal meeting the burden that creating special meetings is?
We've got, so that what we would do then, December 21st, we would cancel, we would just reschedule your normal
Just a
scheduled
reschedule.
meeting to December 14th. And Marcia just confirmed that we got it
Okay,
for December 14th at 1 PM. So we would keep your meeting, because it's a normal meeting, we would keep it the same time, 1 PM on December 14th.
okay. So let me, just to be pedantic, go over all this one more time so that everybody agrees, and I didn't type it down wrong as I was doing this. We're looking at publication for both October 4th, a pre-bid meeting of October 19th. What time were we doing? That would be at 1 because it's our regular scheduled meeting. Submission deadline then is November 1st at noon. Opening of the bids would be November the 2nd at 9 a.m. At our regular November meeting on November 16th, we would select the finalists. We would try to schedule the finalists for interviews on November 27th, starting at 9 a.m.
I thought that was November
November 30th.
30th.
30, well, okay, see, this is why I'm doing
It's
this.
Thursday, the 30th.
We would select the contractor then at our regular meeting on December 14th, 2023. Correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And then we are, I think, all in agreement that, well, at least this is my understanding, Marcia and the auditor's office are going to work together to get the publication of it done, but that the contact person, the procurement agent, if you will in fact be Marcia for these proposals. And that's what I put on these. Okay, well, that was,
Got it done, nice job.
well, thank Mike for saying yesterday to me, get a proposed schedule out to everybody, because it's going to make things easier tomorrow, and it still was a lot.
Still helps having it on paper with each of the topics, because it's easier to follow what has to happen in what order, so thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody who's sitting in the audience, any problems with what we're doing, that we missed anything we should be worried about in terms of this? Okay.
How many interviews are you expecting or hoping for?
You know, we're sort of thinking we'd like to have at least 3 finalists, but, you know, until you get the bids in, you don't know, right?
Right, so if you only have 2 bidders, you're gonna have 2 interviews and
Right. And we could have separate bidders for each contract, so we could have 2 on one and 2 on another. Till we get them in, we're just guessing.
Yep. But it's flexible enough because those interviews don't have to be announced publicly, right? That we
Right.
can add those on if needed. So,
Right. Okay. That was really the business for today. Does anybody have anything that they think we still need to discuss?
The only thing I'd add, I mentioned it to you separately, I will not be present at the November 16th meeting, so
Okay.
I wanted to just make sure there's either a quorum or if we have a Zoom call, I can potentially call in.
Okay. Can we set up for a Zoom for that? Okay. Then do we have a motion to adjourn? Oh, yep.
Last question. So when you're selecting your consultants and awarding the contract, is your mindset we're gonna go with the lowest bid, or are you considering qualifications? Like if there's someone who's a higher bid, better qualified, I'm trying to understand how you determine who you're gonna select to interview.
I think those will all come back into play. I don't think I have not been told that we're constrained by the lowest bid. If I get direction other than that, I can certainly let you know. Marcia, do you know? Are we constrained to select the lowest bid? No? Okay. Because we certainly did ask for qualifications in the bidding process, and I would presume that we would be reviewing those.
I just want to make sure that was considered.
Right.
Price.
Yeah, that's my understanding from everybody who's worked with me so far, that we really can't consider the quality of what we're going to get. Anything else?
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. So I will update the RFP.
Recording stopped.